from Spring Code Lab. In this screencast, I'll be talking about React component composition. Let's get started. A React component composition is a type of design pattern, and design patterns in software engineering or software development are proven solutions to common software engineering problems. So React component composition is a type of design pattern that is based on React's original component model that breaks down the complex functionality into multiple components and define explicit prop for parents and its children components communication. To better understand the React component composition approach, let's take a look at the native HTML select. As shown in figure 1, the native HTML select has a child component, which is the option component. And as you can see from this diagram, the select and the option components are working together to achieve the functionality of a single entity, and that entity is the drop-down list also shown on the screen. So why is component composition so important? It promotes reusability and extendability, meaning that you can design it once and you can use it for multiple tasks or multiple use cases within the application. So creating new components will become much more faster. It reduces code duplication because you are having it in one place and you are not duplicating it instead of creating different table for different use case. It makes code easy to understand and maintain because it's broken down into smaller units. It makes it easy to understand and maintain, and also ensure consistent implementation and user experience across projects. So to better understand React componentization, we'll be designing a table component that accepts 3 props: the column, the row, and the data props. This table component will accommodate any arbitrary column or data, meaning that we can enter customers' information like customer data, use the same table to display customer data, the same table to display employee data, the same table to display inventory data, and so on and so forth. Figure 5 shows the architectural diagram. I have a architectural diagram of this table component that we'll be implementing. You have the main table component, and then the table component have 2 direct children, which is the header, table header, and table role, and the row have a direct child, which is the table data. So let's take a look at the implementation. So I will just be explaining and walking you through the code. I'm assuming that the listener have basic understanding of React. So this is the main table component, the reusable table component. As we mentioned earlier, it has 3 props: the data props, that's the data the table is going to consume and display; the column, that's arbitrary column, can be any type of column, either employee column, customer column, or any other kind of column. Then the row is actually data. The row table component is actually going to make use of data to display the data. So here we have the table header and the table row, which takes the table, the data, and the table row. So let's take a look at the table header component. The table header component is just a simple functional component iterating over a table column. The table column is made up of it's an array of objects and showing the header, which is a property within the array of objects. Let's now look at, and we are rendering this function here. Let's take a look at the table row component. This is the table row component. The table row component takes the table row. This is rows, and this is the table row that is passing as props, and we'll have the table data integrating over the table data, and we are passing that data that is coming, each data from the table data into as a row into the table role. Let's take a look at the table data itself. The table data is also a very straightforward command. It's just rendering whatever is passed into it. So let's look at the implementation. Let's say for the customer employee table, for example, this is the column, the table column that is going to be passed in. You can see it's an array of objects. It's the first field, the first name, the projects, you have the team name, work location, and hiring dates. And here we have the employee initial component. We just created the component just to reuse that, but if you go to the actual table row, you can see here there's the data. The table data will show earlier, so whatever you pass into the table data as a child is going to display it. This is table data again, so whatever is coming is going to display it as its child or children. And let's go back to the employee list. So this is the employee list. We have projects, team, all these are passed in as table data. So at this point we have the table row. This is the table row. So the table row is passed in as prop into the table. It's passed in as prop into the table. And if we go back to the table, you have the table row passed in as prop into the table. So this is going to consume the table rows, is going to consume the table row, singular. Then if you go back to employee, if you go and look at the customer list, let's go back to the employee list, employee table column. As you can see, the columns are different. And if you go to the customer list, you can see the columns are different, but we are using the same table components. And if you want to take a look at the data, this is the data that both of them are consuming. This is the employee data, and this is the customer data. And if you go to the app, this is the app component where we are calling or instantiating the employee list. As you can see, we are passing the data. We're passing the data here as well. Same data. This is consuming employee data, and this is consuming customers data. So if you take a look at our screen, remind you here we just added a tab using tier 1 CSS styling. So if we take a look at the running application, you can see the same table is being used. The employee will have name, job, project, team, location, and hiring date. And for customer list, we have more columns, as you can see. So the same table, back to the pages, we have table components, same table components being reused. So if we have more use cases within our application that requires the use of this table component, we can use. So that is the implementation of the table component. But mind you, you can extend this, you can add more functionality. For example, you can add action menu so that the user will be able to click on, for example, adding action menu here where after the customer syncs column, you can have the action menu where the user can click on the details to get the details of that particular customers. So the code implementation for this will be in the Git, have it in GitHub repository. The link, you'll find the link at the bottom. And if you have any question, please feel free to reach out to me on the comment section, and I'll try as much as possible to provide a solution or the answer as soon as possible. Thank you for listening. See you some other time. Bye bye.